Now, hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Christian, and we have an interesting subject to talk about today. On March 2nd, 2026, the Storm Prediction Center will be changing their 3-day convective outlook probabilities. This is mainly going to be for the tornado, the damaging wind, and the hail section, but this is definitely something interesting to see how they're going to continue to convey severe weather in the near future. There is an article that I'll link in the description, and I do want to go ahead and point it out and show it off a little bit. Now, like I was talking a minute ago, the actual convective risk, the day 1 through 3, they will remain relatively the same. Here's an example of what is expected to look like. This is an example from a previous day. We're still going to have the 5 levels from the general thunderstorm, marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. Nothing is going to be changing on that one in particular. However, if we do take a look at the tornado side, once again, this is a previous one, but with the new implementation, you can see already off the bat, if you're a weather nerd like me, things are very different. We have all the outlines that will remain relatively the same for the tornado side, the 2% all the way to the 60%, but intensity-wise, things are going to be a little bit different because we have these new significant hatched risks, and it's going to portray intensity from small amounts of significant tornadoes to higher end level outbreaks. For example, over here towards the, let's say, the east side of this, we have the level 1 intensity. This is going to be for the potential for maybe an isolated significant tornado, depending on how far east things get. But if you get down towards the high risk right here, where we are at a level 3 intensity, that is going to hold for the highest likelihood of a severe tornado outbreak with significant tornadoes. So definitely something interesting to see how this will play out with future updates. Now, one thing that personally I find most confusing is going to be the differences on how they use the actual number probability. So, for example, the 60% significant tornado threat that we currently have is all the way the highest maximum that it can get. I've never seen one particularly issued when I've been in the weather forecasting. So definitely something that is going to be extremely rare. However, after this implementation, it's probably going to be a lot easier to get that 60% tornado, especially if we're highlighting the below Sig 1 level. We have that potential for a 60% tornado with the enhanced risk. So I find that relatively interesting. It's going to be still the same 5 levels, but the way they're issued is going to be different. Another thing that you've probably noted is that here on the wind, it goes all the way up to a 90%, which will have the possibility, depending on which significant status you get to get all the way up to a high risk for damaging winds, which once again, usually isn't something that happens with the current level, but with this new implementation has a higher chance of getting there. So definitely relatively interesting to see how it's being changed. Hail and the day 3 total severe, you can also look at those. Nothing wildly interesting with those, but still, this new system has the potential to do some greater good. Now, for those of you who are interested, the last major update from the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center on their graphics was on October 22nd, 2014, and this is when they added the enhanced risk of severe weather. If you looked at any day beforehand, I can show you one. Example here, if we're playing this back to the Greensburg, Kansas tornado, the EF5, the F5 EF5 Greensburg, Kansas tornado. This is the risk that was issued on that day. Note the lack of an enhanced risk. It was just the general thunderstorm, the slight risk, the moderate risk, and the high risk. On this day, the high risk wasn't issued, but kind of just an idea of what was issued before October 22nd. And then with this implementation, they added the enhanced risk and a few other changes that I'm not necessarily for sure of. But one thing I do note is the high risk definitely added with this. So very interesting on this too. It's been a very long time, over 10 years since they've had a major update to the scale. So it's going to take a lot of time to get used to. But in the end, this might be very good for weather forecasting. So besides that's all I have for you guys today. Just a small little update video that I wanted to dive into and explain what was going on with this. If you have any questions about it, links, you can read the link in the description. This actually takes you to this page, or you can ask me in the comments, and I would be happy to respond. Thank you for choosing Skycast as your go-to weather place. My name is Christian. You can follow me. Link is in the description on X. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.